At his rally in Bozeman, Montana last night, Donald Trump lost no time in disparaging Vice President Kamala Harris the only way he knows how, through racist, sexist insults.
I'll tell you right now. And she's worse than he is. She's worse. He's smarter than she is. But the Democrats didn't have the courage to force her off. They didn't have it. They didn't want to do it. It was politically incorrect. Kamala, sometimes referred to as Kamala. You know, she's got about 9 different ways of pronouncing the name. I don't care if I get it right. Actually, I couldn't care less.
Oh, this guy is the most transparent politician I've ever had to cover. That's why it's no surprise that the more fearful Trump becomes of facing Vice President Harris, the more insults he'll fling her way. But the vice president isn't taking Trump's bait. Here's how she described her campaign's approach at the rally in Arizona last night.
Part of why we are going to win is because we remember, and we are smart, and we know what's happening, and we're not falling for the gaslighting, and we're not falling for the okie-doke.
Not the okie-doke.
Yeah, she ain't studying him. Joining me now, Ashley Etienne, former communications director for Vice President Harris, and Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and author of Running Against the Devil, a plot to save America from Trump and Democrats from themselves. Ashley, Rick, thank you for being here. I want to play one more piece of sound from Donald Trump. This is him wish casting. Listen to this.
I hear he's going to make a comeback at the Democrat convention. He's going to walk into the room and he's going to say, I want my presidency back. I want another chance to debate Trump.
Rick, I'm really concerned about Donald Trump's mental acuity. I'm not sure he's all there. Shouldn't we be concerned that maybe he's too old to be running for president?
You know, I think it's time for Grandpa Donald's caregivers at Mar-a-Lago to get Grandpa to bed earlier at night and make sure he's getting his Ensure every day, because that is a man who is not capable of being president of the United States of America. He is. I mean, that was just one tiny segment of between that and that press conference this week of Donald Trump just making things up out of his head.
Right. I mean, go ahead, Ashley.
I was just going to say, you remember there were rumors when he was president that his cabinet officials were considering invoking the 25th Amendment because of his mental health and concerns about his mental health. So, I mean, I think to some degree, Democrats, not the vice president or Governor Walz, but the Democratic apparatus should really start raising this question. Is Donald Trump okay? Start to question whether or not mentally he's all there. I mean, claiming that his rally was bigger than the March on Washington. All of it is just bizarre, beyond weird. It's bizarre. But also, it raises questions, again, the same questions that his cabinet officials had about whether or not he's mentally all there.
Well, I mean, I think also his cabinet officials were looking at the 25th Amendment because Brother Man was dangerous.
Oh, he was
dangerous as president.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the polls, because, you know, I have a thing about the polls. I'm not wild about the polls. I was really not wild about them when President Biden was behind. I'm a little more happy about them now that the vice president is ahead. But still, I keep my feet on the ground. These are just snapshots in time. Rick, we're looking at Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The vice president at 50%. All of these are within the margin of error. But does this signify what we've been seeing for the last 2 weeks? And that is the momentum is on the Democrats' side.
All of the momentum in this campaign right now is with Vice President Harris, Governor Walz, and the Democratic candidates across the country. We're seeing not only are the numbers holding up so far, and look, we may have bad days ahead, we may have good days ahead, but we're also seeing Democratic statewide officials starting to open up bigger and bigger leads, such as Arizona, where Ruben Gallo is now meaningfully ahead of Crazy Kerry. We're also seeing we're beginning to see the beginning of a pattern of these numbers holding up. And if it sustains for another 2 or 3 weeks in this particular spread, Donald Trump is in real trouble. He doesn't have anywhere to go and nowhere to grow. His base is even cracking a little bit around the edges in some states like Florida. And he's very worried. I wouldn't blame him for being very worried.
Let me get you on one more thing, and that is the Cook Political Report, very influential election forecasting, has changed Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, its forecast from lean R last month. I think they did that during the RNC in the middle of all the tumult, and now they've gone from lean R back to toss-up. What do you make of that?
The map has expanded for the Democrats. Kamala Harris has managed to expand the map again and reactivate some places where it was looking very grim. And, you know, if Georgia is in play and Nevada and Arizona and North Carolina are in play, then Donald Trump has to spread his resources more and more thinly. He said spread the peanut butter out around a lot more areas. There are even some early weird hints. I'm not saying it yet, but right now with Vice President Harris up 15 points on Donald Trump in Dade County in Miami, that is a big deal. There is something shifting out there. I don't know if it's going to be as sweeping and as sustained as we need it to be, but it's right now she's got all the flow is running her direction.
Absolutely.
Ashley, 15 points up in Dade County in Florida. You know, one of the things I'm hearing out of the Harris campaign is that the vice president has her feet firmly on the ground, that she understands that this momentum, this sugar high, if you will, is not, potentially might not last. Talk about.
I would push back on that.
Really? I think it's smart.
No. She should keep her feet on the ground, but I push back on this notion that she's on some sort of a sugar high. I mean, we're only 3 weeks in.
Oh, so not she, just Democrats in the campaign.
Absolutely, that she's riding some sort of a high. I think the Trump campaign called it cotton candy of sorts. But the reality is we're only 3 weeks in. Right? And so she, you know, if it were anyone else, we'd say she's trending up. But instead, what we're saying is she's on a sugar high. I mean, the reality is she's trending up. But right. Rick makes the better point, and I think, you know, the Wall Street Journal said it this week, and this is what's also revealed in the Harris campaign's internal polls, and that is Donald Trump's hit a ceiling with his supporters. He needs more customers, and he doesn't have a way to go in terms of growing that particular base. And the more that voters see him out there, that they see this Donald Trump, the more he alienates his own voters, those disaffected Republicans that are over the Trump show. He energizes our base, the Democratic base, but he also crystallizes the contrast within this particular campaign. And he further, I should say, drives the question, the fundamental question that's facing the nation. Do we want to live in Donald Trump's America? This is who he is. This is who he was in the White House. Do we want to go back? And that's the question that the vice president's posing. But I really reject this notion that she's on some sort of a sugar high. I think she's trending up.
Yes. She's trending up, but Ashley, I wish you were not like in my head, because what you just said and that last point you made is what I've been saying to anybody who'll listen. Ashley Etienne, Rick Wilson, thank you both very much for coming to the Saturday show.